So our main story today is going to be a follow-up on the Uniswap fork. Obviously, we've talked about SushiSwap cut a little bit. So let me get this up. Okay, cool. Yep, no problem. So we're going to follow up on SushiSwap. Now, we covered this earlier this week amidst the drama surrounding the founder, Chef Nomi, exit scamming. There's really no other word for it. But he exited the project just a week after its release. And by release, I mean 2 weeks after the project was forked and everybody got hyped to mine these food tokens. And he got away with $13 million. So, you know, you got to ask yourself, what did you do this bull season? You know what I mean? We got to hang out with Nomi Brockwell. Some people bought houses. Some people bought Lambos. Some people walked away with $13 million. Be sure to check out our coverage from earlier this week to get caught up on that. We'll leave a link in the description. And when I redo this video later on, if you happen to be watching this not live, it's going to be right up here, one of these. It's going to be in a corner. You know, you can click on it. It'll be a nice little link. But the latest development in the Sushi Saga appears pretty positive, actually, because SushiSwap has actually launched. They've migrated away from Uniswap, and they've formed their own protocol. Well, they already had their own protocol, but the exchange seems to be functioning to some degree. Now, in the process, it drained $1 billion in assets overnight from the token swapping platform that it was cloned from, of course, that being Uniswap. So, and the question is SushiSwap setting up to be a major success? Does this mean Uniswap's days are numbered? Short answer, no. But we will take a closer look at the latest that is unfolding in the DeFi space. So the DeFi darling known as SushiSwap did manage to successfully spin off into its own platform following a protocol migration away from Uniswap. And in the process, again, they took quite a lot of liquidity with them. That's going to give SushiSwap perhaps the adequately named moniker of DeFi Vampire. But, you know, some are going to make the argument that that's not really fair, that the vampire narrative isn't true, and that Uniswap's total value locked TVL, so the amount of money that people have locked into the Uniswap protocol, was inflated moving up into the SushiSwap drama. But we'll dive into that a little bit later. We'll actually look at the numbers. But it's important to point out that DeFi obviously is driven by demand from users for yield farming, and to get through the process of yield farming, you acquire other tokens, which you can turn around and sell. So these are dividends, right? These are crypto dividends that you can essentially sell. There's really no other way to put it. And in this case, farmers are clearly on the quest, well, currently it seems, on the quest for more sushi. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock and don't know what Uniswap is, it is the open source one-stop shop Ethereum swapping protocol to get rich as a degenerate, an automated market maker platform that also just loves charging you $50 to come in and come out. Now, it launched nearly 2 years ago. It did get a small grant from the Ethereum Foundation, but of course it has grown to overtake Coinbase in daily trading volume on most days. April 2019, it really got its first boost because venture capital stepped in and threw money into it. And of course, that is the whole sushi thing, because in the background on Uniswap, there's a lever that they can flip, which would divert 17% of all LP rewards to the founders, essentially, right? To the investors, to the Uniswap team, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And SushiSwap's only claim to fame was that they had forked the code and just rewritten that one little bit that said, well, when that lever's flipped, that 17% is instead going to go to whoever holds these worthless tokens that I just printed out of thin air called sushi. Now, Uniswap has, of course, evolved to be the largest DEX in the space, decentralized exchange, and it is the central figure of DeFi and the trading scene at the current moment. And SushiSwap, on the other hand, like I said, it's only a week old, and it is... it does seem, the question is it going to be ready to climb to the top of the DeFi exchange heap? I mean, you guys have seen what YFI has done. By the way, you want a secret? If I print 30 tokens and pay myself $50,000 for that token, congratulations, I have the largest market capitalization coin in existence. Statistics don't lie, but liars use statistics, okay? Yeah, so Sushi seems to be offering LPs, liquidity providers, the best deal at the current moment. And for the time being, users are flocking to the platform, to the Sushi platform, to take advantage of the early mining rewards for liquidity, so providing liquidity. So late yesterday, Sushi successfully migrated away from Uniswap, and the move was spearheaded by the new head chef in the kitchen. This is the, of course, CEO of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, also known as SBF Alameda on Twitter. Make sure you guys go follow him. Good guy. Let's check out our first little piece. This is SBF posting on Twitter the sushi migration plan, hashtag not investment advice. He says in about 1 hour, the migration is going to unlock, and then he links us to the Zippo information for Sushi. Here's the official migration process. You can see that the Curve Ethereum pool was the first to be migrated and tested. It was then followed by a pool by pool migration of all the other assets that we would want to put over on Sushi. Now, to further incentivize individuals to actually come over to Sushi to keep their collateral on the newly migrated platform, SBF threw an additional 2 million Sushi tokens into the pot to be divided among the early stakers. And this really did help incentivize this feeding frenzy that we saw. That seemed to have the desired effect. And of course, it ramped up migration from Uniswap to the new decentralized exchange. Now, apparently, there is a new website and analytics dashboard that we can access, and it reports the current liquidity is actually 1.28 billion, so higher than the number that's actually reported here. But in either way, control of the platform is going to be governed, has been governed by a new multi-signature wallet, and control of that, or being able to unlock that wallet or spend from that wallet, gives administrative rights for the protocol. It's very similar to Yearn Finance. It has a 6 of 9 multi-sig wallet, which again doesn't really mean anything if you don't know who holds those private keys. So the way that it is laid out is that governance of the protocol, the Sushi protocol, is going to be managed and accessed by 9 candidates, and any action is going to require 6 of those 9 administrators to agree. This is the results of the voting process for Sushi's new administrators. And unsurprisingly, those top 9 candidates are all Sushi whales who are now going to be heading up governance at the decentralized exchange, of course, in order. We have SBF Alameda, L. Leshner, pretty prolific writer, 0x Maki, who was the original administrator of their holdings, Lawmaster, CMS Holdings, Maticino, Mick Hagan, Adam Skokaran, and Long Vuong 22. That's no jokes. Okay, let's go now. Of course, Uniswap is on DeFi Pulse. Let's go look at the DeFi Pulse stats for Uniswap. Did Uniswap actually get vampired $1 billion? Well, we do see it briefly held the top spot for total value locked, but Uniswap has dumped down to 9th place with a 75% loss in liquidity. Indeed, over $1.2 billion seems to have left Uniswap, bringing its TVL down to about $350 million. Oh, how the mighty fall, clambering its way back up to 660 million actually right now. So it is kind of rising quite quickly as this drama unfolds right this moment. Now let's go take a look at a tweet from Andre Crony. For those of you who aren't aware, this is the mastermind behind Yearn Finance. Now he objects to this narrative that Sushi stole over $1 billion in liquidity from Uniswap. So he is saying that if you look at Uniswap's total value locked before and after SushiSwap came out, exit scammed, and now launched, it's largely unchanged. It was around 350 million just a few weeks before the SushiSwap frenzy kicked off, and it's back around that figure today after the Sushi, let's say, has been digested. So this massive spike in liquidity over the past week or so only came about because of the hype that Sushi was drawing. And of course, yield farmers are going to be incentivized to just be on an absolute mission to acquire as much of this early Sushi liquidity as they could get their hands on in order to deposit onto the Sushi DEX for the launch. And of course, that brings in a massive wave of deposits for individuals' bids to claim as many of those LP tokens as possible so that they can flip them almost as soon as possible. However, keep in mind, Uniswap V3 is on the way. And it's possible and even likely that Uniswap is going to revamp their reward system to lure those liquidity providers back. Regardless of how long that liquidity stays in the Sushi system, I would argue probably not super long, although stranger things have happened. This is the world we live in, right? So for a while there, for like the last 3 months, you guys went to a platform with a unicorn as a logo, and now you will go to a platform with a Sushi as the logo. And when your friends ask you, what do you do for a living? I flip DeFi coins on SushiSwap. We need to get Uncle Justin professional medical help. He's in here talking about sushi, and welcome to my life. So in the end, this SushiSwap hype may have been good for the wider ecosystem as a whole. It certainly brought a lot of interest into DeFi that may have not already be there. That's why we had a blow off top, because it was when retail decided to finally come in that people were like, oh, it's time to dump on these fools. But the reality is that although many have postulated over the last few weeks that the liquidity is going to fragment between the two decentralized exchanges, it does seem that the net result is just growing the DeFi pie in general. So again, going back to Andre's supposition here, that the only reason that additional liquidity came into the market was because of Sushi coming up, that really Uniswap's TVL was largely unchanged. So this is just brand new capital in the market, in the DeFi system. And as long as a good fraction of it remains, this is just good for the space because it's more money sloshing around the system, i.e. more opportunity, i.e. more liquidity. And this draws in more users. This draws in more assets into both Uniswap and SushiSwap. So overall, a good thing. Now, as for the token price of Sushi, now, it did slump about 80% from its all-time high. This is, of course, before Chef Nomi decided to exit scam. Price only fell another 50% after he bounced out. But Sushi prices haven't managed to recover that much in the wake of the migration. Remember, the catalyst is actually to really sell at the current moment. But we're going to look at the price because there's ways to play this. There was a slight creep up to about $3 a few hours ago, but prices... and we're going to look at it here in just a second. At the time that we put this together, prices were about $2.87 according to Uniswap, and that means that Sushi's price is still down 62% for the week. Now, it is very, very possible that Sushi tokens are still at this current point in time extremely overvalued because they're hype driven, and that hype is now over. Even at the current cooled off levels of Sushi. And again, if we look at Sushi's tokenomics, their economics of their token, it's inflationary, right? Meaning that you need to see, if something is inflationary, then you need to see massive demand, a catalyst, or increasing trading volume over to sustain token prices anywhere near, well, let's just look at Sushi, anywhere near previously high prices. But I have to take a deeper dive into those tokenomics specifically. And of course, a lot of this depends on the decision of the governance council before we could draw any hard conclusions on that. But what we do know for certain is that the DeFi space is evolving very quickly. And whether or not SushiSwap is going to defeat Uniswap, I would highly argue that they most likely will not. Still remains to be seen. But at the moment, things are pretty promising for the space, with V3 on the way for Uniswap and SushiSwap bringing a lot of excitement in the space. But, overall, I highly recommend individuals let that frenzy pass, objectively and calmly determine the opportunities that are out there and take a good look. So with that, I'm not going to select any crowned winners of the decentralized battle. I think that's a losing strategy.